It feels like 2021 blew by and now 2022 is already upon us. I hope everyone enjoyed their holidays, and now it's time to take a look back at 2021 and go over the best games of the year. Of course, as many people have already pointed out, it was an off year in gaming. So many games were delayed into 2022 or even 2023, and many others that did release came out in an unacceptable state. In 2020, well, I did have to stretch things a bit to make a top 5 list. At least at the end of the day, I felt like the 5 games I put on the list were 5 very good games. This year, well, I think the games on this list are still good. I don't know if any of them would make a top 5 list in most other years, maybe except for the top game. That's not to say we didn't get any amazing releases this year, they just came in the form of expansions and remasters. For the purposes of this list, it will be limited to brand new games that launched in 2021. However, if I did include remasters and expansions, they would absolutely have made this list and probably taken the top 3 spots at the very least. And of course, this list is also limited to the games I played this year. While I did play the majority of the major games released this year, there were a few I missed out on, so this list is just the best games that I personally played. If you do enjoy the video, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more gaming reviews and discussions. With that said, let's go over the top 5 best games of 2021. Number 5, Atelier Ryza 2. While I knew what games 4 through 1 would be for this list, this spot was incredibly hard to decide. While I enjoyed the first Atelier Ryza a bit more, 2 was a lot of fun as well. It expanded on the gameplay mechanics of the first game and improved them in almost every way. Especially the combat felt fine-tuned right to where the developers wanted it to be. It's an interesting take on turn-based combat, although I do wish they tuned the difficulty to be a bit more difficult. For those who have not played any games in the Atelier series, they are slice-of-life JRPGs that feature a heavy focus on crafting. While I did enjoy the new characters, I felt the returning ones were not quite as interesting as in the first game. Although that being said, Ryza's interactions with the new characters were very enjoyable. But regardless, it's still a fun game, especially if you enjoy in-depth crafting mechanics. It is a fairly niche game and will not be for everyone, but if you are looking for something different, I'd recommend grabbing it on a sale. Number 4, Riders Republic. If you asked me in 2020 what games I thought would be on my top 5 list, I can assure you, Riders Republic would not have been one of them. Needless to say, this game caught me completely by surprise and turned out to be a lot of fun. Unlike the majority of recently released Ubisoft games, Riders Republic launched in a very healthy state filled with tons of content and features. The races had a great sense of speed, and the United States National Parks proved to be a great backdrop for race courses. There was nothing quite like speeding down a mountain on a bike and performing pinpoint turns at breakneck speeds. While a bit arcadey, the gameplay mechanics worked very well, and the different events provided a nice sense of variety. And it seems like the game surprised a lot of other people as well, as I've seen a very positive reception to the game so far. Of course, Riders Republic will be somewhat limited in its appeal, however, for people who enjoy extreme sports games, this will absolutely give them their fix. I've actually wanted to jump back into the game, but since everything is a live service now, it can be hard to find the time for everything. Number 3, Tales of Arise. Another game that took me completely by surprise. I was originally not even going to bother reviewing the game, but I ended up not only playing and reviewing it, but also going for the Platinum Trophy as well. Tales of Arise successfully modernized the venerable JRPG franchise and helped new fans discover the series. The story absolutely hooked me in the first half of the game, as it presented an interesting world that was pressed forward by a character-driven narrative. Unfortunately, it devolved into a generic plot that we've seen countless times before in the second half of the game, but it was still a great experience. The combat, while simple and a bit spammy, was a big upgrade from previous entries, and a few bosses provided a good amount of challenge. It was so great to see a JRPG franchise do everything it could to improve itself, and moving to Unreal Engine paid off immensely, as the game looked absolutely gorgeous. A great foundation is now in place to continue to bring the series to new heights in future installments, and I'm personally really excited to see where we'll go next. Number 2, Guardians of the Galaxy. I almost copy and pasted the first 2 sentences from what I said about Tales of Arise because I felt the exact same way about Guardians of the Galaxy. After the debacle that was Marvel's Avengers, absolutely everyone, myself included, assumed Guardians of the Galaxy would be an absolute disaster. But I've never been so happy to be wrong, as the game proved to have the best writing and story out of any game I played in 2021. Not only that, but the vibrantly detailed environment was a pleasure to explore, as I experienced a story that felt personal to the characters experiencing it. While the visual design of the actual Guardians looked like cheap knockoffs of their film counterparts, their personalities were very much their own, as I really enjoyed some of the changes the writers made for the game. Gamora proved to be an especially interesting and complex character due to her being a nerdy, vulnerable, deadly assassin. Not to mention Drax and Rocket having to deal with their difficult pasts, and learning how to cope with loss really drew me in. And the central theme where the Guardians had to come together despite their flaws and work together as a team to save the galaxy was extremely well done. And yes, while the combat was generic and at times rather repetitive, I almost didn't care because I wanted to know what would happen next in the story. If you have not tried out Guardians of the Galaxy yet, I can't recommend it enough. I picked it up for an absolute steal at $26, and it seems like the game regularly goes on sale now. I am a bit worried that since it seems like the game sold poorly, Square Enix will mistakenly think that people do not want single-player games when, in reality, they had just completely lost trust in the company after being burned so badly by the Avengers. Hopefully someone at Square will have enough insight to see reality and give us more games like Guardians of the Galaxy. Although given the statement they just put out about NFTs, I will not be holding my breath. Number 1. Forza Horizon 5. The narrative that Microsoft has no good exclusives is officially dead, as the Xbox brand has been completely turned around in 2021, and the future continues to look bright for them. Leading that charge is Forza Horizon 5, arguably one of the best racing games ever made. It took everything that was great about Forza Horizon 4, refined it, and then moved it to Mexico, a beautiful location that has proved to be the perfect spot for the Horizon Festival. Since I reviewed the game, I've continued to play it almost daily, and just talking about it here in this video makes me want to drop everything and play it some more. It's really shocking just how much better the driving feels compared to Horizon 4, as it seems like Playground Games spent an immense amount of time refining the gameplay mechanics. Not only that, but the photorealistic graphics and sound design are second to none in the gaming industry. It's truly a technical marvel, and a glimpse at what we will see once the next generation of gaming really kicks into full gear. And to see a game of this caliber launch on Game Pass day and date is incredible, and is something that will reshape the landscape of gaming. If Microsoft continues to put out exclusives this good on Game Pass, it is going to force Sony to respond, and maybe even Nintendo. With Forza Motorsport 8 seemingly close by as well, Sony will have to make sure Gran Turismo 7 is going to have to be top-notch in every aspect to compete with it. Game Pass might even be the real game of the year, as I am shocked at how great the service continues to be. Not only did we get Forza Horizon 5, but we also saw Halo Infinite, another well-received game, launch on the service this year. While it will be unsustainable to continue to have high-profile third-party game releases on Game Pass, it will not matter if they can keep churning out high-quality first-party releases. I personally just hope they can continue their pro-consumer mentality and do not go back to how they have handled things in the past. I do not see that happening although, and the best part is that this will force Sony and Nintendo to up their game as well, giving us all better games to play. So while 2021 wasn't the best year when it comes to gaming, or really most things in general, it does seem like 2022 has a lot of potentially great games to look forward to. My hope is that in 2022 I'll actually have to really debate on which games belong in my top 5 list, because there will be too many good ones to choose from. Be sure to let me know your personal favorite games that came out in 2021 as well in the comments down below. The one game I really wish I had played was Resident Evil Village, as I have enjoyed the franchise in the past. I'll hopefully grab it when it goes on a deep sale, although there's just too many games coming out to play and review, making it basically impossible to play them all. Thanks so much for watching, see you all in the next video.